Call the meeting to order for Wicomico County Council Legislative Session 2025-21 for November 4th, 2025. Anybody that would like to stand and join us in the Lord's Prayer and Pledge of Allegiance, please do. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Entertain a motion from council to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussions or corrections? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Consent agenda passes unanimously. At this time, we have a proclamation. Hang on one second. This time we have a proclamation supporting Operation Green Light for Veterans. Michelle Handy, I believe. Are you in the audience? Maybe in the hallway? Michelle Hardy, I'm sorry. Sorry, Michelle. You can go over to the podium if you don't mind. Vice President Merritt's going to read the proclamation. You can bring anybody you'd like with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How are you? Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. This is for Operation Green Light for Veterans. It's a national campaign that will be celebrating its 5th anniversary this year, and it's to raise awareness and appreciation for our veterans, the services that are available to them, and just as a way to say thank you to the veterans in our community. So this reads, whereas the residents of Wicomico County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. Their contributions and sacrifices have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens, and the Wicomico County Council seeks to honor those who have made the countless sacrifices for our freedom. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian life annually, which is expected to increase by 20% in the near future. Studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life and are at high risk for suicide during their first year after military service. And whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties to recognize Operation Green Light for Veterans, the Wicomico County Council appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted. Now, therefore, with designation as a Green Light for Veterans County, the Wicomico County Council hereby proclaims this a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifices of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service. In observance of Operation Green Light, the Wicomico County Council encourages all citizens to recognize the importance of honoring those who have made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying green lights in a window from November 4th until November 11th, 2025. Done this 4th day of November 2025 and signed by all members of the Wicomico County Council. Thank you. Say a few words?
Sure. So here in the Lower Shore, we do recognize the Operation Green Light, and we do encourage you to either purchase a light bulb. We also have light bulbs at the County Health Department. So if you want to call us at 410-543-6981, and we can let you know when you can come by and pick up a light bulb. We have a very few supply. But it is to honor veterans and their family members for the sacrifices that have been made to preserve our country. So with that being said, I thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have a proclamation to recognize the month of November as Youth Homelessness Outreach Prevention and Education Month. And Mr. Larry Ruth, I believe it is, with the Phoenix Project is here.
All right, so we've got an important topic here, which I know maybe there's a difference in our language of how we're reading this, but a very important topic and with some great people who are trying to address a really important topic. We've got a proclamation here for National Runaway Prevention Month, in addition to recognizing the Youth Homeless Outreach Prevention and Education Month, HOPE. Whereas November is National Runaway Prevention Month, which began in 2002 and is presented each year by the National Runaway Safe Line, the federally designated national communication system for runaway and homeless youth. And whereas runaway youth are often expelled from their home, have experienced trauma to struggle to meet basic needs, and are in increased danger of falling into high-risk situations, including human trafficking. Whereas Phoenix Youth Project is working to raise awareness, support resources by young people in the community, and to provide safe space grounded in social justice for young people to learn, educate, and transform their lives. Now, therefore, the Wicomico County Council hereby proclaims November as National Runaway Prevention Month in Wicomico County and encourages all citizens to appreciate the role they can play in advocating for and providing safe alternatives to this vulnerable population of young people, done this 4th day of November 2025.
Yes, we would just like to, for everybody to think about the homeless youth and to please help give. And we're scheduling a couple events for the month of November to highlight and bring more attention to homeless youth in the area. Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Hurley.
Good evening, Council President, council members, ladies and gentlemen. The first item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing. The public hearing notice was posted on the county's website as well as in the local newspaper. This public hearing is on resolution number 198-2025. It is to authorize the county executive to execute an RNG facility site lease agreement with WB Wicomico LLC for certain real property consisting of approximately 1 acre located at the Newland Park landfill at 6948 Brick Kiln Road, Salisbury, and a gas rights and development agreement with WB Wicomico LLC to utilize the landfill gas produced from the operations at the landfill. The property will be leased for the construction and operation of a renewable natural gas facility that will collect and process gas. The proposed agreements are for a term of 20 years each, with 2 renewal options of 5 years each, at the rental rate of $10 per year for the lease agreement, and royalty payments as set forth in Exhibit 1 of the gas rights agreement, ranging from 6% to 50% of project gross revenues, adjusted annually by the CPI inflation index. And we have Mr. Adam Corey here, our Deputy Director of Public Works.
This time we open the floor for public hearing on this specific resolution, number 198, 2025. If you have any comments you'd like to make in reference to this resolution, come to the podium. Please state your name, your county of residence, and your concerns. Seeing none, this concludes the public hearing for resolution number 198, 2025. Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution 198, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
And discussion. I believe we have Mr. Adam Corey here. How are you, sir? Good. Good to see you.
Brought a couple of members of the team tonight as well.
All right, very good.
Good evening, Council. Adam Corey, Deputy Director of Public Works.
This is your first meeting as deputy director, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is. I thought so. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate the council sending us the additional questions today that we could get out to you. Hope you folks got to see the email with the additional breakdown. We do have another PowerPoint for you tonight I think might help too.
Okay.
Erica Witz, County Attorney's Office.
Dark Molar, engineer with EA Engineering, Science and Technology.
Ball and Rain, Superintendent, Solid Waste Disposal.
Have you all here. Thank you.
Thank you to have us.
We'll let you, I guess, lead with the PowerPoint. You said you have one, right?
Yeah, now this PowerPoint is very specific to some of the questions the council posed today concerning how do we derive our level of confidence with the gas that we can produce in our landfill, which it's already been producing again, and then will continue to do so for decades and decades. We wanted to provide you some of the science behind that. Obviously, you've heard from the experts before, from the technology provider in being WAGA, in the open work session and some previous workshops we've done. But I wanted to kind of provide clarity to some of the questions that you had provided us today. And I think that especially as it pertains to the production of landfill gas, where it looks like from our ability to harness that gas, and that goes into the questions concerning our well field upgrade and what this company will do to us from an environmental attribute standpoint and from an economic standpoint. It's just kind of what we wanted to rehash for you here tonight. And then, of course, our law department here for the actual legalese of the contracts themselves. Obviously, Mr. Darrell Kolar, our engineering consultant for all things landfill. And let's see if this works. It's going to work. All right, so some of the questions that were posed to the Department of Public Works concerning where we got through our due diligence period. Just to remind the council, we started a due diligence period with WAGA in December of 2024. And the due diligence period was pretty intense. It looked at all options that we would need to have available to us, effectively how to take that Rubik's Cube and make all those sides the appropriate color. And it really was puzzle pieces being put together. As you can see on the bottom side here, after we started with our exclusivity date of 12/31, and then we went to our signature target being tonight's open public hearing for this particular contract. The status of all of those major tasks, our contract management, the offtake, the electrical interconnections, finance, engineering, and the administrative aspects of this are 100% complete, with the exception of offtake, which is 80. Some of that has to do with the fact that you have to get your well field upgraded and whatnot, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then the gas interconnection. Understand there were some questions about Eastern Shore Gas and Chesapeake Utilities. They've been on board with us from the start of our due diligence period, and WAGA has worked very hard to effectively pitch this idea to them as well. And their CCO of operations globally has affirmed their commitment to move forward with this project after WAGA's commitment to their actual investment in the county. So it's really good that we're here with all of these items completed in our due diligence period. And this is what we anticipated, somewhere between 6 and 8 months to get to this point. And we're happy that we're here today. What I'm showing you right now is, yes, sir. Sure.
Talking about Eastern Shore Gas, do you have signed MOU or an agreement with that?
So the gas interconnect, that agreement will take place between WAGA and Chesapeake, because there's a relay There's a relay race that goes on here. We hand the gas to Waga. Waga refines it and hands the gas off to Chesapeake. So their investment for the construction of the gas interconnect, their investment for the construction of the actual plant itself, and their end of the operation that sends their refined product to Chesapeake Utilities is through their contract.
They have an agreement with, do they have a signed?
They don't have a signed agreement yet, no. But they're working on that. All right, so just to talk about how, again, we derived at the confidence level, and Darrell, you can jump in on this as well as far as the science behind landfill gas. But you want to have a certain level of confidence that your landfill will produce enough gas for Waga's facility, because they don't want to starve their plant. And it wouldn't make sense for them from a financial standpoint, nor would it for us, if their plant couldn't handle it or if we didn't have enough to provide of them. So what typically happens in your landfill when you begin to fill and place carbonaceous organic material, you have an aerobic condition. That means oxygen is present. As time progresses, the oxygen decreases, it becomes anaerobic, means there's a lack, then your methane starts to get produced. That's going on ever since the landfill was open. So you got to remember, this isn't just starting now. Methane's being produced ever since the first day trash was being covered up. That trend continues as you finish cells, close out the landfill, and even after you're done with our current footprint, remember, we only have cell 7 left on this side of the road. Once you cap the landfill permanently, you still have 20, 30 years of gas production beyond that, because that anaerobic environment, there we go, is going to continue to exist with even less oxygen, because now you're capping it. There was also a question about hydrogen sulfide from the council. So a concern as to whether or not the hydrogen sulfide that's outlined in the gas rights agreement would be a concern for Waga. Looking at our annual emissions report that are required to be submitted to the state, along with our time series monitoring that we have EA provide us for our gas monitoring that we have to regularly report, our hydrogen sulfide levels are 6 times less than what this company's filters could handle on an annual basis. So that's like, I think we talked about before, they would have to change out their filters once per year. That's at the 35.5 parts per million rate right now that we have in our hydrogen sulfide. That was of our 2024 annual emissions report. If we were to increase that 6 times, Waga would have to do 3 times as much filter change out. So it's a cost expenditure on their end, but right now we look pretty good. I hope that answered the question about hydrogen sulfide. Mr. Holloway, do you have a question, sir? Okay.
Was there a maximum threshold for hydrogen sulfide that would cause for there to be a reduction in the royalty payments? That's, I think, was...
So the royalty payments could be reduced if they have to put out extra expenditures. So after they researched our data of our gas quality and what that hydrogen sulfide level is, they were confident, again, this was months back, with our data that we've had from long time, Geosyntec prior, and of course EA now, that they're only doing 1 year change outs on their filters for hydrogen sulfide, so there's not a monetary loss there. That's just the cost of doing business, so that, no, it would not negatively impact. Effectively, like we would have to have 6 times plus more hydrogen sulfide than we do currently in our gas array to be able to
hit that,
impact them from a financial standpoint. The good news is we are still, we're primarily a municipal solid waste landfill. That means people's household trash that has food waste in it a lot, or other things, sludge, some other nasty stuff we take once in a while that produces methane because it's, very organic and carbonaceous. If we were strictly a construction and demolition landfill, or if we were a rubble landfill, then yes, you would see higher concentrations of hydrogen sulfide. But since that is a lower percentage of our total income of waste stream, it's not a concern. All right, so also talking about landfill gas forecasting, you'll see that SCFM on that side. Did it again. There it goes. All right. So like we've talked about before, SCFM is standard cubic feet per minute. That's a measurement of how much atmosphere, if you will, how much of that gas is moving through our conveyance system at any given time. Right now, if you look at the 2025-2026 outlook, with no other upgrades to our well field, that means additional wells, repairing existing wells, our conveyance lines and blower assemblies and vacuums and stuff that actually move the gas. Without upgrading them, we would stay around 400. Once you upgrade them, you increased over 1,000. And then again, as you go out over that 20-year term, like I talked about just a few moments ago, once you cap that landfill and you have an anaerobic condition, your methane numbers continue to go upward. So that's how you have that level of confidence that you'll have enough gas and enough quality gas to last the life of the term. And to put a finer point on that, and I don't want to get too far ahead, stop me if you have something else you want to get to, but I know there was some questions asked about who's on the hook for what costs. That's a big one. All right, so WAGA is making a $4 million commitment to the construction of the gas interconnect so that they can supply Chesapeake with their refined product. Then they're going to make a $24.5 million investment in the construction of the actual plant. That's on them. It's on them to make those provisions, facilitate those constructions, and their own permitting. All we're going to do is say, here's your 1 acre, have fun. All right. Now, when it comes to additional costs that the county is going to bear, it is our responsibility to upgrade our ability to collect that gas. And that's where the entire well field network has to be upgraded. We had our entire well field assessed in August of 2025 by Roman Consulting. It was a third party that specializes in landfill gas. They're currently working with Cecil County's landfill. And remember, Cecil County is also going through their due diligence process with WAGA. So they came to assess our field, see what kind of vacuum pressures we're able to get, what kind of SCFM quality we're able to get, and from there say, this is what we think you can do. Obviously, WAGA is comfortable with that, so we have to move forward. For us to do that, it's about a $1.5 to a $2 million capital investment the county has to make. The good news is the LGAEM or LGEM through the Maryland Energy Administration has $3.2 million that is on a promissory for Wicomico County to utilize specifically for these types of environmental projects. Landfill gas to renewable energy upgrades is specifically outlined in their grant for us to be able to utilize. Through the work of our team, along with Ms. Lori Carter, our grants administrator, we have been able to put together a heck of a package that we will be submitting to the Maryland Energy Administration early to be able to secure those funds to upgrade our well field.
Yeah, that was my question when I looked at that. I wasn't sure how that was going to commit. And also, on the $4 million you mentioned on the gas interconnect fees, because it does state that the county would be responsible for anything over the
over 4. So WAGA does reserve the right in this contract that if the cost of the gas interconnect with Eastern Shore Gas, Chesapeake Utilities, were to exceed $4 million, they reserve the right to adjust their royalties over the first 10 years of the term, which is still a great deal for us because we're accomplishing the idea of capturing all of our landfill gas to be in compliance with Tier 2 regulations that are on the books as of January 2025, and still getting more bang for our buck than what our current arrangement is. So,
and do we have some idea as to whether or not that $4 million they're suggesting is a reasonable figure?
That figure has actually come from their direct communication back and forth with Eastern Shore Gas and Chesapeake Utilities over the past 6-month period.
Evaluating what it was going to take to make it happen.
Correct, because they had to look at it from 2 different ways, whether it was going to be through a distribution network pipeline, right, or a direct line that's going to come from the landfill and go straight into another interconnect point close to where the old sheriff's office is, because that is one of the closer interconnect points now, versus going to Route 13 to the main and the main pipeline, which is much more expensive. So WAGA's whole point was we need to make sure that our partnership with Eastern Shore, I say our, the collective our relationship is for us to have a direct access line. And that's what brings that cost to that estimated $4 million.
I guess if it's required that additional expenses are going to be necessary, by the council agreeing to this today, this may be for Pamela, by the council agreeing this today, is that in effect sort of de facto saying that we will agree to pay more money and that we won't be required to pass a resolution or a change order?
So the way the, Pam Olin, Finance Director, the way the agreement is written is that by passing this today, council is agreeing to allow our royalties to be adjusted. There would be no change order that we would have to come back to council for because it's already written in the agreement for the adjustment associated with any additional cost to the 4 million. So we would not have any cash out of our pocket for more than $4 million. It just means less cash coming into our pockets for the first 10 years. This is still an advantageous process for us because, again, it still would be more money than what we currently get. And in addition, from my layman's understanding, we need to do something better at capturing the gas that we have. And this is a way to make a renewable energy. So again, from the from the layman perspective, this is a good financial bonus to us because this would be cash that we would not get into the landfill, but we would be required to upgrade our emissions on the landfill anyways. And now we're going to get to use a grant, and we're also going to get money back.
Will we be creating the revenue stream here? Will that be reflected in the budget annually as a separate line item?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Joe?
Yeah, getting back to Eastern Shore Gas, I think from your first presentation, you said they were the only ones that would be able to buy this due to the interconnect, correct?
Correct. They're the most advantageous partner given their proximity.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the quality of this product, if something happens and it's not good enough
Yes.
for the quality for Eastern Shore Gas to take, what happens then?
So, yeah, go ahead.
It's kind of like we've only got one customer. So what happens then if we do not have a signed agreement, third-party agreement, I'll call it,
Sure.
That they're going to take this gas no matter the quality and no matter what happens as far as, because we have nowhere else for it to go.
Correct. And it's typical, right, for this utility provider, which is pretty much the only one around here for natural gas of this sort for that kind of distribution network. The gas cannot go to them unless it meets that quality standard. Waga's gas that they pump out of their systems is almost always a higher, if not higher quality standard than what they've got in pipeline.
What happens to it if it's not the quality?
They would have to run it back through their plant until it is. I mean, this stuff is being monitored through the entire process. So they have the ability to run material back. I say material, but it's gas. They have that ability to run it back through, clean it, scrub it, polish it, if you will, and get it out there. Because one thing they're not going to do is store any significant amount of gas. Now, they do have an emergency flare. If you did have a run of bad gas, if you will, using layman's terms, you could flare it. And we actually want to talk about the flare a little bit because that was one of the main points with MDE. And I wanted to give Darrell a chance because he was really instrumental in some of those original concepts that we discussed with them concerning not only the permitting for this, but also a flare.
Sure. So the county has an existing flare, for the gas to energy facility. It's what Maryland Department of Environment refers to as an open flare. It's got a flame. So new regulations as of January 25, they want all flares to be enclosed. So that actually has to be replaced, and that's a significant cost offense. We requested a extension of that. Having some thought process down the road, how we want to do potential renewable natural gas and so forth. So we do have an extension for that requirement. We're also in the process of working with WAGA to get a permanent exemption, to continue to use that flare as an open flare, which will be a significant cost savings. I mean, those flares are very expensive. Now, the WAGA system itself has their own flare. They cannot use the county's flare. They need one specifically for their system. It's a much smaller flare. And they also they're proposing an open flame, which we're working with MDE to get an exemption as well. So that's kind of the flare discussion. I mean, this helps us, with the, since we have a dedicated collection system on renewable gas, it helps our presentation, our case, to get that exemption from an enclosed flare. And then I guess also while I'm talking about the gas, I think it's important to note that the regulations that are in place now for gas emissions are more strict, and the county will need to make those upgrades to the well field, not just to get the gas quality, but for gas emissions.
Yeah.
So, right now, the gas emissions requirement, we go quarterly and monitor the landfill gas monitor programs around the landfill. You can't reach a certain percentage of the lower explosive limit. Moving forward, a quarterly sampling event will actually go in the landfill. Every 25 feet, you're working, with a flame ionization detector 6 inches off the ground to measure, that methane that's coming off your landfill. And that can't be, a certain threshold. So you need a certain radius of influence for all the wells and well coverage. So we know that at a minimum, we're going to need to make significant upgrades to meet those requirements that are in place. Again, MDE's, not pressuring that design because they know we've talked to them about this renewable gas energy facility, which really kind of comes in hand in hand. And that's also the improvements that you mentioned with the LGEM grant that will cover those. So.
Speaking of MDE, one of the questions on this list, have they signed off on this whole project as being their approval of it, or?
Yeah, so MDE typically does not give you a preemptive letter stating we approve your permit before you've applied for your permit. Effectively, their blessing will be when they issue said permits for, again, WAGA has to have their own out there, and then the exemptions for us to continue to utilize an open flare. The fact that Maryland Department of the Environment, in the meetings that we've been in, like Darrell was just explaining, being very positive about, because you are going to this step of greater capture, greater radius of influence on your well field, stopping those additional rogue emissions of not only methane, but the newly regulated volatile organic compound emissions, because you're pulling all of your gas in, not just some of your gas. You say all, you can't get all of it, but you're pulling in a much greater concentration. The Maryland Department of the Environment has made it clear in their dealings with us that they support the project as it stands. Now, but the department typically does not issue a letter stating, we approve or disapprove of this before you've issued a permit. I'll be happy to say that once you apply for it, then they will be issuing a permit.
The point is, and I think you made this mention when we did the tour, they're ecstatic, I think, to have this process in place because it does capture so much of the volatile gases and whatnot.
It does, and I know that everybody has been able at some points to smell the landfill, right? I know a couple of years back, you could smell it ways out, and you weren't smelling trash. You were smelling methane and hydrogen sulfide. So that's because, again, we had so many issues with our well network, and Yvonne has been here long before I got here, and he can tell you about his experiences. Tweaking those wells. Now you're tweaking old infrastructure. Some of it, with our well assessment, we cameraed those wells. You get down 15, 20 feet and find out the well casing itself has come dislodged. Well, all you're doing is pulling oxygen now. So those upgrades, again, it couldn't be more serendipitous that WAGA comes along and asks us to dance at the same time that MDE is telling us we need to change our dance step. You know what I mean? Those things have worked out very well. We're pretty happy about it.
I had one legal question in reference to Article 24.1. It's strictly legal because I don't always understand this, but it says no later than 6 months following the termination of the lease or the expiration of the lease, the tenant will, to the extent reasonable,
Run the lease, okay.
Restore the lease premises to its original condition. So, to the extent reasonable. I'm not going to say, yeah.
Right, now and I don't know what that would be as far as who says what's reasonable and what's not, but I think it would be so the county's not going to be left with some sort of crazy expense in terms of restoring it. That's going to be on WAGA to make sure that it's where it is now.
So to the extent reasonable is sort of a good faith measure?
Yes, and I think you're going to see that language to the extent reasonable throughout both documents.
Okay, yeah, because I realize, I recognize that. Also, in section, in Article 8, 2, we touched on the taxes. But, I mean, in some instances, leases, and this is a little, we're at the horse has really already left the barn, I think, on a lot of this. But I was surprised to see that it wasn't a type of a lease where they were responsible for the property taxes. And it seems to suggest that we're responsible for the real property taxes as well. I mean, excuse me, the real property taxes and the personal property taxes. I
Are
thought,
we in, which document are we?
I'm sorry, well, it's Article 8.2.
There's a land lease and the
Yeah,
gas
let
rate
me go
agreement.
back up. Hang on a second real quick.
Site lease agreement.
I think that's the second agreement.
Second one.
Gas rights and development agreement.
Site.
I just thought it was funny that it was both real and personal property taxes, because the real property tax, of course, is the land and the improvements. And the personal property tax is the equipment
Right.
and the
So-
vehicles.
On the real property tax purposes, though, as it is a lease, the county still owns the land, so it is still under the county and is tax exempt on the real property side of things.
Even the improvements?
It should be, because again, we do improvements like the sheriff's office, and again, we're not taxed on the sheriff's office. It is our property to have on the real property side. On the personal property side of things, I can't talk to that part, but I do know that we don't, any expenses that we have that we owe them in this deal is offset. So again, we're not paying any cash out the door, it's offset. So I can't say on this one per se, but if we are responsible, it's offset against the payments we have to, that we will receive.
I just didn't know if that was legal boilerplate language that maybe you, I'm not going to worry about it tonight. I didn't know if it was like boilerplate language you may want to tweak.
Okay.
Jeff?
On the back of something that John brought up, when we were passing legislation about solar, we put a clause in about decommissioning, and that was so that, somebody quit using solar, it wasn't just left there.
Right.
Is WAGA bonded in case the company goes bankrupt or something happens to them, or are we protected? Say they just disappear one day?
Sure, understood.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
In other incidences of people that we do business with, do we require that bonds and things? I see the purchasing agent here, maybe she could answer that.
We do bid bonds for, Amy Kernodle, purchasing agent. We do bid bonds and performance and payment bonds for our construction bidded, solicited projects, but this is not a bidded solicitation. So at this point, I don't know if bonds is something that is relevant.
It wasn't a requirement in these documents. No, it's not either one.
Maybe we can refer to our legal counsel that's in the room, Mr. Benson, whether he would, thank you. Whether is that something that should be suggested or something that, I'm looking for protection, I think, for the county.
I understand that, but I haven't been asked to review this in detail, and I don't have an opinion at this point. In order to answer your question, I'm going to have to dig into it, and I haven't been asked to do that up till now.
The company's a new company, and, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, and I think this project is, something that we really need to do. But it's not like they've been around for 20 years, whether they 2 or 3 years old now and from another country, and
Yeah.
we got one other place that's operating, and I'm just looking. I think there's something we need to do.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking,
Oh, yeah.
what do we
So-
need to do to protect Wicomico County citizens. And as somebody mentioned to me, remember what happened at the water treatment plant in Salisbury 20-some years ago, where it cost $80-some million to get out of it or whatever.
So I'll just put to you what the vice president talked to me this afternoon after receiving that question. WAGA was just awarded backing by the largest global infrastructure firm in Europe, EQT. I've given the link to that in today's. It should speak volumes to their investors' trust in their future successes. In the unlikely event of a WAGA default, Wicomico County, as the property owner, would be in a position to receive all comers for redevelopment, restarting of plant operations by the very investors that are backing WAGA for their $2.5 million investment. That was from the company VP today.
So what would happen, where would we be as far as operational ability?
Sure.
If
we would have to flare a lot of gas until the right person came in.
Sky lit up over on the west side again.
The flares, I mean, honestly, have you ever seen it operate, the flare out there? Yeah, it's you don't really see it. At night you might see a little candlestick. Would be nice for Christmas. But no, I understand the question. I do not want to see the county get into a situation that we can't get out of. But that being said, we can certainly take that advice and have our legal counsel reach out. But like I said, it just wasn't part of the conversation to date.
If they back out, or if something happens, again, we then own the infrastructure that's there.
That's true.
So it's on our property. If they don't have money to run it, they're not going to have money to take it away. So it would become our property. And again, what they're saying, and what Adam is saying is that the people who have invested in them, we probably could then contract with them to then run the plant. It might take a little bit of time to work through that, but again, they are up and running. They have received this new investment. And so, yes, there's risk, but there's also risk of us not doing anything. And there's more upside risk than downside, in my opinion, as your finance director.
I would highly agree with
You're
that.
saying we would call on the investors to run the plant?
I would think the investors would be calling us, honestly.
So we would be running the plant?
No.
We would sign a different contract to have a different part of the investors run the plant.
Maybe on the operational side for landfill risk, you still have your existing landfill flare.
Correct.
So we go back to using that. I mean, I would propose that we still keep that, exercise it so often, just so we have it in place, and that's our backup for.
Talking about the electrical generation?
Well, it's
no.
part of it. It's the flare that's a part of that, but
Correct.
it's not
I
used.
thought they were leaving.
They would be. I think there might be a little clarity on that statement, Mr. Kolar. What Darrell is referring to is if we got into a risk scenario like you've questioned, we would have to utilize the flare that we have. We own that flare. It's ours. It is actually not part of Ingenco's infrastructure. Yes, as this deal progresses and we get confirmation and approval of moving forward with this contract, then the conversation starts in formal legal conversation with Ingenco to say, this is our anticipated flip of the switch for you to depart our property. What Darrell's saying is we would have to, if we got into that risk scenario, we would have to utilize that flare of our own until such a time that we have, again, although unlikely scenario, the WAGA's investors saying, hey, they've defaulted, we need to come run your plant because that's our investment. And then we say, okay, well, we've been running our flare for X amount of days and you're coming in to take it over. We have a new contract, MOU, all that. I think that's where you're getting at, yeah.
And going back to your comment about the Sheriff's Department is a county entity.
So
The improvements on that land of the Sheriff's Department is a county entity.
Yeah, but again.
It's a county asset.
But we're not selling them the land, so the land is still our land.
I know.
So-
I know, but you had suggested that the building was an improvement and, was part of a county and wouldn't be taxed, but this improvement is not like part of a county department. It's a separate entity altogether.
But again, it's still on county land.
Okay, any other? Yeah, I think the bonding's important, but just like Joe said, we really want to make this work. I don't know if there's any means by which to suggest or to ask after the fact that, hey, are they familiar with any circumstances with other groups, of the groups they've done in Canada or throughout or the other areas of the United States where they could say, well, we've done bonding in wherever, we could consider that here. So, but, any other questions from anybody? Nope. Okay. All those in favor of Resolution 198, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna oppose this because I think we've got some questions that's never been answered. I don't understand us even voting on this. I mean, questions haven't been answered that were posed, I don't see us that we should even vote on this. I think we need to come back. I think we need to have Mr. Benson look at the contract. I think we need answers to these questions before we even vote on this.
Is that a motion to table?
That would be a motion to table.
There's a motion to table.
I'll second his motion.
All those in favor of tabling, say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
No.
I said no. Josh?
You already got 4 majority, so
You need no.
No, that's fine.
No. Okay, so the tabling fails by a vote of 5-2. We are back to the original motion, Resolution number 198, 2025. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion is carried. Resolution 198, 2025 passes 6-1. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. I understand what you're saying.
Okay, next is resolution number 199-2025. This is authorizing Waga Energy, Inc. as the sole source vendor to provide grid-quality renewable natural gas to be directly delivered via pipeline to our natural gas utility suppliers for the benefit of the solid waste enterprise, the local economy, and the Newland Park landfill's environmental compliance and stewardship initiatives. This resolution does require a supermajority vote, meaning that 5 council members must vote in favor of it in order for it to pass. And we have our purchasing agent here, Amy Kernodle.
Entertain a motion from council. Thank you very much. Are you heading out?
I'm just going to stand up here so Amy can see.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 199, 2025.
So move.
Second? Got a second. Discussion. Seeing none.
I guess,
Yes.
again, we've not heard from Eastern Shore Gas. I think before we vote on, of course, the table didn't pass, but before we vote on this, we really need to hear from Eastern Shore Gas and what their plans are, if they're in agreement with us. We've not heard from them at all.
Make your motion to table.
I'm making another motion to table.
Mrs. Hurley, does that require a second?
It does.
Does. Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll give him a second.
Okay. All those in favor of tabling Resolution 199, 2025, say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Opposed.
Opposed.
Chair is opposed. The tabling of Resolution 199, 2025 fails by a vote of 5-2. We're back to the original resolution. Any other questions? All those in favor of Resolution 199, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
No.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Resolution,
I'm good with it.
you're okay. Resolution 199, 2025 passes by a vote of 6-1.
Thank you.
Mrs. Cornel, thank you very much. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Adam, thanks for preparing the answers so quickly today.
Okay, next is resolution number 200-2025. This is to approve Stephen W. Raku, Esquire, as special legal counsel for Wicomico County on matters relating to the Wicomico County Ethics Commission.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 200, 2025.
Second. Oh,
Give me a motion.
I moved.
Second.
Second, motion second. Thank you.
I'm used to you being a little faster. Figured I'd give you a chance.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Bunky Luffman, Director of Administration. Steve Rako.
Andrew Illuminati.
So I'm here this evening to formally present for your consideration Mr. Rako as special legal counsel for matters relating to our Ethics Commission. He has 29 years' experience, including 11 years where he saw some ethics cases himself, so he has the requisite experience. And now I've tapped out on my legal knowledge of Mr. Rako, so we'll also have Mr. Illuminati here, who's far superior to me in legal matters. So if you have any legal questions, one of these two gentlemen can do it. So I am formally submitting his name.
Okay. Any questions? No questions? All right. I think, Mr. Rako, the one consideration that the council would want to make sure, I think the executive would equally be as concerned, is that under any circumstances, because a lot of times when it comes to the ethics committee, a lot of it is about intergovernmental. And we're trying to make sure by choosing an outside legal counsel that there's no pressure, undue pressure, or bias one way or the other in reference to making a final determination for that ethics commission. And that is even though the council, the executive council has you in this position, approves you for this position, your dedication, loyalty, and everything else in the legal profession is to that ethics committee and not to either branch of government.
That's fine.
Yeah, and it probably insults your intelligence and your legal profession as a whole to even have to make that comment, but I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that clarification, yes. The Ethics Commission will be my client.
I understand. Okay.
Oh, and everything stays in the Ethics Commission. So whenever people are discussing things, that it's not supposed to leave that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Confidential.
Any other questions? All those in favor of
Thank you.
Resolution 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution passes. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Bunky, I think you're staying here.
Yeah.
No, it's Steve.
Oh, it's Steve. Okay.
Okay, the next item for business is the submission of an appointment/reappointment to the Social Services Advisory Board and a reappointment to the Board of Electrical Examiners. This is going to be by Mr. Stephen Lakin, our Assistant Director of Administration.
Good evening, Mr. Lakin.
Good evening, President Cannon, members of the council. Great to see you.
Great to see you.
First, do you want to read the?
Typically, you do a summary first.
Okay, sure. So, County Executive, first appointment recommends the reappointment of Rebecca Webster to the Department of Social Services Advisory Board, and I'm formally submitting her credentials for your consideration. The board supports planning, policy, workforce development, and services to ensure a coordinated quality system of care that is outcome-guided and integrates prevention, recovery, evidence-based practices, and cost-effective strategies that enhance behavioral health across the state. Excuse me. Department of Social Services Assistant Director Jamie Riley is in attendance and available to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Lakin.
I believe you have one more person that you want to submit to that board, is that correct?
We do as well. The county executive also recommends the appointment of Lieutenant Jessica M. Murphy to the Department of Social Services Advisory Board, and I'm formally submitting her credentials for your consideration. Likewise, Jamie Riley is in attendance to answer any questions that you might have.
Or use resolution number 201-2025. This is confirming the reappointment of Rebecca Webster to serve as a member of the Department of Social Services Advisory Board.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 201, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution 2001-2025 passes unanimously.
Okay, next is
201, sorry. Go ahead.
Next is resolution number 202-2025, and this is confirming the appointment of Lieutenant Jessica M. Murphy to serve as a member of the Department of Social Services Advisory Board.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 202, 2025.
So moved.
I'm in trouble with my numbers. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution passes.
The county executive recommends the reappointment of Donald W. Tribeck Jr. to the Board of Electrical Examiners, and I'm formally submitting his credentials for your consideration. The board issues electrical licenses, hears complaints regarding work done by electricians, and oversees county license testing for master electricians, general electricians, and limited license electricians. Department of Planning and Zoning Assistant Director Kaylee Justice is in attendance if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lakin.
Before you use resolution number 203-2025, this is confirming the reappointment of Donald W. Tribeck Jr. to the Board of Electrical Examiners.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 203, 2025.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution passes unanimously.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Mr. Lakin.
The next item for business is Resolution Number 134-2025. This is to create a Water and Sewer Technical Advisory Committee and adopt committee bylaws.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 134, 2025. Second.
Second.
Discussion. Good evening, Mr. Wilbur. How are you?
Good evening. I'm fine. Paul Wilbur, County Attorney.
Any discussion or questions from council?
To get on the committee, I guess, yeah, it's the same as all the other committees. You'd have to go through the county executive.
Appointed.
Appointed. And then
Confirmed by the
confirmed
council.
by us. All right.
Yep. Same process.
All right.
Yep.
And how big is the committee?
It is 3 voting members and 1 alternate.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Is there compensation for this committee?
Not that I know of.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Seeing none. All those in favor of Resolution 134, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilbur.
That's all I had, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Harley. At this time, we open the floor for public comments. If you have any comments you'd like to make, come to the podium, please. State your name, your county of residence, and your concern. I would suggest, please, in lieu of time restraints, if you have anything to say, please try not to repeat too often what someone may have said before so that everyone can get out of here at a safe hour. Thank you very much. Good evening.
My name's Joe White. I'm from Parsonsburg. I'm sure there's a few folks here who are going to speak about the 287G in the work session later. The only thing I'd like to say about that is I'm very interested to hear more about how the county executive on October 6th said this would be a budget neutral proposition, so I hope that comes up. Also in your work session, Mr. Duvall and Ms. Jennifer Jordan will be back here with a liquor Board of License Commissioners. I've been a liquor license holder in another county, in my county, which we're compared to often in Worcester County. They've never gone and fought battles with the county council on our behalf without us bringing it up and paying for it. I would like to remind you, this exact time last year, Mr. Duvall was here representing the Board of License Commissioners about Crown Sports getting their liquor license expanded. But during those sessions, the first work session, it was not talked about that they already had a liquor license. So I just want to remind you, Councilman Hastings, you brought up a lot of caveats. One of them was you didn't want it to be any larger than the liquor dispensary in the county, which is about 25,000 or 2,500 square feet. Yet in the resolution, it's 10,000 square feet. They've done this before with Vice President Merritt, where they've made changes at the last minute in Annapolis. I believe anything you hear tonight, you have to take with a grain of salt, and I hope that you do not vote for the consensus. Do not do this, please. What I want to talk about actually in this realm of accountability is the Verizon building. County taxpayers, we are now the proud owners of a building we're no longer receiving lease payments for. We bought this, work session was in January of 2024. Mr. McLennan from SVN Miller came here with the county executive, the director of health department, Matt McConaughey, and director of administration, Monkey Loughlin. They said it was turnkey. In February of 24, there were some concerns from the inspection, including the roof, but Matt McConaughey said that it had needed minimum upgrades. In April of 2025, going into the capital improvement planning for this year, this fiscal year, it was asked for $2.75 million, mostly for an elevator for a 2-story building that's not really for the public. That already has an elevator. In June of 2025, the council declined to add it to the CIP, which was a smart move, I think. October 31st, 2025, the lease ran out. We now own it. Mr. McLennan, a year and a half ago, stated that the cost to maintain it for 1 year, $300,000. It's his words. Congratulations. We now own a liability.
Thank you, Mr. White.
Want to clear the way before everybody here that has comments to share about ICE. I'm on a different topic, so. Mikkel Darlene, Wicomico County. On September 10th, Adam Corey revealed the administration's new dredge storage proposal at a meeting of the Natural Resource Conservation Advisory Committee. I attended as an advocate for Save Connolly Mill Park. This plan proposes to dump forest ash into the pits of Connolly Mill and encapsulate them with dredge spoils from the Wicomico River. The stated purpose of this plan would be to create carbon credits and wetland mitigation banks while dealing with the dredge storage crisis. After I left that meeting, our group has consulted with many experts and members of the community. We believe that this plan is deeply flawed. This new dredge dumping plan is unnecessary, fiscally reckless, environmentally questionable, and completely ignores years of public input regarding Connolly Mill Park. It also betrays the original intention of the donation and the promises made during that process. Barging dredge material for beneficial uses like island and shoreline restoration is the gold standard. There are dozens of these projects in the Chesapeake region that spoils could be used for, which would be far more beneficial than dumping them at Connolly Mill. Trucking dredge spoils inland is a costly, disruptive alternative that should only be a last resort. Tens of thousands of truckloads would be required to transport dredge spoils from Sharps Point to Connolly Mill. This isn't free. This plan will cost taxpayers millions of dollars in trucking fees alone, not counting the inevitable road damage and repairs. This operation would mean a constant stream of heavy trucks creating dangerous traffic and destroying local roads, and the taxpayers will get the bill. The old saying applies. We have a bird in hand, a magnificent 234-acre park ready to go with existing trails. The county wants to trade that for two in the bush, a reckless gamble on a carbon credit market that many say is collapsing. Not to mention the truck exhaust will release thousands of tons of carbon into the atmosphere, far more than would be released by naturally decomposing forest ash. We shouldn't be gambling with public land. We should be honoring the promise of a park that benefits everyone right now. The executive's assertion that creating wetlands at Connolly Mill is necessary to establish a park is simply untrue. The existing features at Connolly Mill, forest, natural wetlands, streams, trails, and abundant wildlife make it ready to go as is. This is about public trust. The original 2018 park plan was promise made to the people of Wicomico County. That vision was a testament to good government, where the county worked with citizens, not against them. Our message is simple: honor the original plan. Developing Connolly Mill Park grows our economy, protects natural resources, and promotes physical and mental well-being for our entire region, while reversing that plan sends a chilling message that public input can be ignored and that a promise from the county can be broken. 1 month ago, we wrote a letter to the council outlining the importance of protecting the public trust and fulfilling the original vision for Connolly Mill Park. I stand before you tonight urging you to take legislative action to make good on that promise made when Connolly Mill Park was donated to the citizens of Wicomico County. Keep the promise, protect the park. Thank you.
Jim Atkins, Wicomico County. Just want to talk about the liquor legislation, which is going to come up later in the open work session. There's a lot of changes and talk since the last meeting on this proposal this time. My concern, and I'm not an attorney, so I don't quite know what happens when you put a comma in front of a word instead of after a word, how that changes something legally. But I do know when you read in there all the restrictions that are in there, and then you get a word like unless approved by the Liquor Commission, unless. So that means that, to me, that the people cannot be in compliance, but unless the Liquor Board wants to do it, then they can do it. So please take a look at that. Be very attentive to how that is phrased, and maybe take some of the unlesses out of there and put more control in the council's hand with the liquor bills. We're hearing these every year. The door got cracked open last year. They're trying to open it a little wider this year. And what's coming next year? Can't hardly wait to see. The other thing I spoke about 2 weeks ago was the dredge spoils, and the fact that you, as a council, were forced to approve $2.3 million at one meeting to move 100,000 cubic yards of dredge soil. by October 1st. October 1st was stated 4 times in that presentation to you that day, 4 times that it had to be moved. It was not completed. The Army Corps of Engineers has taken the middle of the Wicomico out of rotation for this year. You were informed of that by a private citizen who came up here and spoke at the last meeting. You were not informed of that by the people who asked you for $2.3 million to move that dirt. They didn't tell you that they didn't get it done in time. They didn't tell you that the middle of the Wicomico had been bypassed for another year by the Army Corps. Are they going to tell you if one of these tankers runs aground between Whitehaven and Salisbury and closes the channel to the second largest port in Maryland? Will they tell you then? Thank you.
Good evening, Robert Taylor, Salisbury resident. I'm also not here to talk about 287G, but I would just make a remark on the liquor licensing matter. I really think you ought to just leave well enough alone. We don't need more liquor stores. I doubt, however, from some comments that were earlier made, that you're probably not going to do that. So I would suggest in any proposal you make to the General Assembly, you have in the ordinance or the new legislation that there can be no new liquor stores within 5 miles of any of our county dispensary stores or within 10 miles of any existing private liquor store. That, I think, would solve the problem of the proliferation of liquor stores. I'm really here to talk about a meeting tomorrow night that I'd like to focus attention on because it's important to all county residents, and particularly the residents that live in 3 neighborhoods right around Salisbury, not in Salisbury, but contiguous, that are scheduled, if the county's plan goes forward, to have their septic tanks destroyed and to be put on city sewer service. That's called the Septic Elimination Project, kind of an odd name for what they're doing. The meeting tomorrow night, I think, is being held to educate those owners in those neighborhoods, Park Manor, Hyde Park, and the President Streets. I forget that. I think that's called Lincoln Heights, because they're going to be hit with a double whammy. First of all, once they get onto the city's sewer service, they're going to have to pay every quarter, just like I do in Salisbury and everybody else that is in Salisbury or Del Mar or Fruitland and gets their normal sewer bill. They're going to have to pay. I'm just running some real estimates on that. It looks to me like they'll pay anywhere between $800 and $1,800 a year, depending on the size of the house, the number of fixtures, etc. Probably most of them are going to fall in the range of about $1,200 to $1,500. That's every year. And that's going to be whether they have a septic tank that now works or not. They're all going to be destroyed. They're all going to have to be replaced. That's the way it works. So they need to be educated and given the facts on this. They're also probably going to have to pay the city's connection fee. It's a one-time charge. It's about $1,800 a year. So that's another thing they're going to get hit with, I believe. On top of that, under the city's extension policy, if their property is contiguous, meaning adjoining the city boundary, they have to agree to be annexed into the city. And that will mean eventually they'll have to pay city taxes. Now, that will reduce the amount they have to pay for the sewer service, so there'll be a plus and a minus to it. But netting, they're going to have to pay more. And they need to be educated about that from the get-go, because they're going to have to sign a document to get the service. It's required by the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Mike Goldberg, Wicomico County. First on 287G. I support enforcement of immigration law, but the 287G MOA is lacking. First of all, there's no evidence that ICE, with 4 agents staffed locally, is unable to serve the number of warrants that need to be served. There's not going to be that many of them. It winds up being a pretty bad deal for the county. We are lending assistance to the federal government, but essentially we're covering our own costs. The federal government should be paying us, not us bearing the costs for doing their jobs. There is liability. We recently saw in Worcester County, just last week, a $5 million settlement when somebody committed suicide in jail. What if this happens during the 48-hour holding period? Do county taxpayers bear the cost for that? There is a great deal of potential liability, and it's anything but budget neutral. Shifting gears to the dredge spoil issue, there are dozens of island and shoreline restoration projects in the Chesapeake Bay region for which the dredge spoil can be used. This would be a far more beneficial use than dumping it at Connolly Mill Park. Not all beneficial uses are created equal. It will require tens of thousands of truckloads to transport the dredge spoil to Connolly Mill, and an untold number of truckloads to move 1.7 million cubic yards of forest slash there. Trucking is the most costly of all the options, and it's going to run in the tens of millions of dollars and will inevitably cause significant road damage for which taxpayers will be responsible, and it will be very disruptive to neighborhoods along the way. Riverside Drive, Camden Avenue, Connolly Mill Road. Truck exhausts will release thousands of tons of carbon into the atmosphere, far more than would be released by naturally decomposing forest slash if left unencapsulated. The executive's argument in this respect is a false flag. Generating revenue for the county by selling carbon credits, it's a red herring. The market for carbon credits has collapsed. Thus, any revenues generated will be insignificant and will not come close to offsetting the cost of processing and trucking the dredge spoils to Connolly Mill. The executive's assertion that creating wetlands at Connolly Mill is necessary to establish a park, I'm sorry, this is simply untrue. The existing features at Connolly Mill Park, the natural features, are many. This is a turnkey operation. Build a bridge, open the gates, and you have a park without hardly doing anything else. Of course, as Ms. Deline pointed out, there was a promise to create a park. This promise has been broken by the county executive. I think most county residents would agree that developing a park is a much higher and better use than turning it into a dumping site for dredge spoils. The executive failed to perform on doing what was necessary to remove 100,000 cubic yards of spoil from Sharps Point. Now we're behind in the rotation. She had 3 years to take care of this. She failed to perform. There's a credibility problem. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
I thank God for opportunity to be here. To the President and the County Council and all present, good evening. My name is Mary Ashanti. I'm a resident of Wicomico County. You haven't seen me much for health reasons, but I do listen to what you all do. In reference to 287G, I'm not going to say much about that because I don't like repeating myself. I consider y'all very intelligent, and I think when we had the work session of the plaintiff, we mentioned that. We mentioned that passing 287G will cause more distrust between citizens and law enforcement. We told you that, and I also told you that you all were going to do it anyway. So that came true. The other thing I want to mention is, let me say this. Usually when people don't want to do something, they procrastinate to prolong the process. I'm one of the plaintiffs in the court case that was supposed to be in our favor and whatever. There was a resolution, Wicomico County, Maryland, to establish a Human Rights Advisory Committee. We dealt with this in 2024. This is, what month is this? Somebody? November. Okay. December will be a year, almost 2 years that we've dealt with this. If you were doing this in good faith, if you were being honest, this advisory would have been established. You would not have prolonged it. So, far as I'm concerned, you don't honor your word. And I have very little trust in people that don't honor their word. This Human Rights Advisory Committee, the mission, the committee shall have as its purpose to bring harmony, equity, equality to citizens of Wicomico County. That's what it is supposed to do. What is the harm in that? Why is it taking so long? God bless you.
Hello, can you hear me well? Okay.
Yes.
All right, my name is Mike Angelot. I'm from Wicomico County, just outside of the city limits, of Salisbury city limits. So I'm going to try to be quick because I know my time is limited. I'm here to talk. Thank you. I'm here to talk about 287G. Pretty much before, I want to emphasize on the kind of agency that we're dealing with when we talk about the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. March 23 of this year, pretty much a story of people, women talking about how they were giving a 3-minute shower over 3 to 4 days in custody. We have a video talked about in CBS News New York, published July 23, 2025, talked about inside of an ICE facility where there was no furniture and people were sleeping on the floor. You have a situation where civil rights jobs were cut. Those are people who work inside the agency to see how people are supposed to be doing their jobs. What happens is because it was so little, it became that one person said it was likelihood that death could happen as a result. A judge today, this is published today, 2:05 p.m. this afternoon, pretty much a judge calls the alleged conditions at Chicago area immigration site disgusting. October 23, it's the deadliest year for people in ICE custody. Last time we hit 20 deaths, which is we did this year, it was in 2005. So pretty much I'm getting my papers mixed up, so I'm not sure which I have not done yet. But anyhow, pretty much our values are shown in how we treat everyone. So that's why we have the Fifth Amendment in our Constitution against cruel and unusual punishment, even for convicted people, because we hold ourselves to a certain standard. So what happens is pretty much I'm saying I've not made any comment about whether immigration law should be enforced or not. It's not a comment about whether or not ICE is good people or bad people. It's about whether or not they are currently holding themselves to a standard they should be holding themselves to. So I would say, in a way, the cart is ahead of the horse when we're thinking about partnering with us. ICE should not be focused on partnerships right now. What ICE should be focused on is cleaning up their affairs. Yes, and another one I had, Senate report says that there's a likelihood of pretty much bad conditions nationwide. Okay, this was based off of 500 reports of abuse and neglect. So pretty much, that's what I'm saying is that I don't just want us to table it or just put it away. I would like it if we could vote no to make it clear. We want to leave zero wiggle room for people. Pretty much just saying that we're not interested in partnering with ICE until they get their affairs in order. If they want, they can bring their own trucks down here with the federal government's dime, but then we don't partner with them. I do not believe they are worthy at this time for our partnership. Thank you for your consideration. I appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Monica Brooks. I'm president of Wicomico County NAACP, and I'm also a resident of Wicomico County. I'm going to go quickly. I want to reiterate what Mary Ashanti said about the Human Rights Advisory Council. That's been pushed back, and I don't understand why. What is the big problem in pushing forth the Human Rights Advisory Council? And we have already we have a resolution that we have presented. That's something that you can say, we can do some back and forth discussion on it, anything you want to add or take away. But it makes absolutely no sense that this keeps getting tabled in the same way that everything got pushed back from the initial lawsuit from the beginning. So I too, for us, we urge that you get on the ball and get moving with this and stop pushing it down the hill. The liquor licensing thing, I've already spoken on that. It's absolutely ridiculous and absurd. I don't know why this keeps coming back down as a discussion. The citizens don't want it. We are still getting tremendous funds from the, good Lord, I can't even think of the facility. Thank you, the dispensary. And so this is, to me, this is a whole political move. This is a whole kind of thing that Wicomico is absolutely against. So these people keep coming in here saying the same thing. But if you agree with it here, then that's going to give a wink nod to the state to say this is what we want. So let's make it clear here on this level that we do not want it. We do not want a spread of liquor licenses all over the place. And let's not forget how many things are concentrated right in the area where the students are at SU. Then we want to complain about underage drinking, but we're going to put all the liquor over there. Then we want to add more liquor over there. So make it make sense. 287G, I've spoken many, many times, but I'm so proud of Mike who just spoke, because Mike is not a outgoing person, but that shows you his sincerity and his passion in this conversation. But there have been 20 deaths with ICE just this year. 20 deaths. They have shown themselves to be so vile and violent in their actions. There's absolutely no courtesy whatsoever. The amount of guns that have been given to them have gone up by 700%. Guns from ICE. They have not shown any videos where anybody that they've been coming after has had a gun, but they're pointing guns at people who supposedly are illegal. They're pointing guns at American citizens, anybody. They have absolutely no accountability whatsoever. And for us to even consider aligning ourselves with these mass vigilantes, and I'm going to be honest, somebody was coming at me with a mask on, telling me whatever, I'm going to fight. I'm going to just be honest. I'm going to fight too, because I don't even know who you are. So you don't even know who they are. So why would you go into business with these people? Why would you go into business with someone who has no accountability? Someone that has absolutely none, and who's going to leave you holding the bag and leave us owing all kinds of money and making us look absolutely ridiculous. And guess what? If you think you're going to be able to tell them what to do, think again, because you're not.
Sarah, I'm president of Wicomico County. I'm also going to talk about the 287G. I don't agree on it at all. I honestly think that everything that's going on right now is ridiculous. It's nothing but racial profiling. I don't want to have my kids go outside and see these people run around after other people. It's not right. There's kids that are going out fearing for their parents. There's parents fearing for their kids. It shouldn't be that way. We're all human beings. Just because our color tones are different doesn't mean we don't believe red. We're all God's children, but the only ones that are looking at us different is DHS. Police working with the 287G, with them two connecting and working. Why can't the police do their own job? Why can't DHS do their own job? Why do they need the extra help to do what they are supposed to do? I just don't get it. I'm a citizen, but I am Mexican American. And I feel for these people's fear. I feel for the pain that they go through. They shouldn't be going through this. And working with, what are we going to accomplish? They're not just pulling criminals off the street. They're racially profiling. That's what they're doing. I've been racial profiled. I've had them come up to me. My kid's seen everything. I don't want that to happen to anybody else. We should be able to walk out without being scared. Have to look over our shoulders. If it was you guys, if it was you guys, what would you guys done? I really hope this is a no for you guys for the 287G, because I'm sorry, I don't have enough left to say because I can't say what I want to say up here, but that's why I have to say. We feel you. I really hope you guys really think about what you're about to do. And I really hope you guys have the touch of heart and really think about what's going to happen if it does happen. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having us here. My name is Leila Borrero Kraus. I work with CATA. It's a Farm Workers and Immigrants Support Committee. I have been an immigration specialist and I have lived in this area since 1986. I'm a U.S. citizen and agree with many of my people over here commenting about being racial profile. Talking about accent. I have an accent. I'm a U.S. citizen by birth. But many people think, where's your papers? Are you a Mexican? No. We're all human beings. And I urge you, please, not to agree with this 287G because I have worked in this area since 1986, and I only been helping people, good people. They're working, they're earning their living for their families here and abroad. They're working jobs that many U.S. citizens would not work. So I urge you again, please do not share this commitment with Homeland Security, ICE, whoever, but it is important for our communities to feel safe. And we're not safe. I hear that from my many people in the community. Thank you.
Good evening, Joe Venosa, Wicomico County, District 7. A couple of things. I'll get to the 287G part in a second. First, thank you, Joe Scafino. He is in New York City now, and he promised to bring back my wife a box of Italian pastries. She doesn't know that. Only you guys and the entire county and the few hundred people. So, thank you, Joe. In all seriousness, though, the liquor bills. Josh Hastings brought up a really good point in his interview on Open Agenda earlier today. It's a great episode. I suggest you watch it. He brought up the fact that if liquor expansion does come, it most likely will occur in our district, District 7. That's the district where there's a lot of college students, a lot of youth. The last thing we need in our communities is more liquor stores. They lower our property values. They effectively encourage binge drinking, and they certainly don't make things more family friendly. So keep an eye on that because these bills are going to be coming up. I encourage you, if you're really concerned and if it does pass and they have a consensus, let's go up to Annapolis and let's make them hear our voices, because the only priority this executive has seemingly is to expand liquor stores and expand community fear. And let's go to that point, the ICE issue. A lot of people have given very heartfelt concerns about what they have seen nationally. Now, many of us who have looked at the agreement know the facts. Thankfully, the ICE agreement doesn't actually do a lot of the things that some people have said. But here's the point. The executive wants people to think that. She wants her base to think that because she's going to deal with the tough primary coming up. And she wants you to think that because she just doesn't want people to feel good in this community if they look a certain way. The point is this. The facts of the ICE agreement are relatively minimal, but they've been politicized and blown out of proportion for political ends. Now, my concern, apart from the fact that fear and racism, let's call it what it is, by the executive is being used, my concern is the fact that whoever wrote this agreement probably was a mediocre English teacher rather than a lawyer, because Appendix A, page 9 of this agreement basically gives the county, right, the sole responsibility to pay for the transportation fees. Why should we, with our tax money, have to give the feds more money? And let's keep something in mind. The sheriff at that table a week and a half ago said that he expects the legislature to fully ban ICE agreements. So why would we proceed with something that law enforcement acknowledges is going to be a moot point? Doesn't seem logical to me. It doesn't seem logical. This is for political ends. Let's let it die tonight, and let's let the executive take the responsibility of its failure as she deserves. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna sort of work on the same principles as many of the other people. I'm not gonna talk about whether this is a good idea or a bad idea, but to me, the risks are huge. I frankly am disheartened and frankly surprised by what I see to be an incomplete understanding by elected leaders of the reality on the ground. You've heard that tonight. Please know this is critical. I am speaking of legal citizens and legally documented immigrants, as well as undocumented immigrants. We've heard that again tonight. This is not just going after illegal immigrants. They might say it is, but it's obvious from the facts on the ground that that is not the case. Fear and terror are now the dominant reality for a significant segment of these people. Item, legally documented foreign students, sometimes single women at night, have been surrounded by masked men, no identification given, put into an unmarked car, and driven 500 miles to a prison. Item, as reported by libertarian conservative writer George Will, George Reach, born in America, mother born in America, Army Iraq combat veteran, gainfully employed, was detained by ICE agents blocking the entry to his job, telling him his factory was closed. It was not closed. They never asked to see his ID, smashed his window, pepper sprayed him, strip searched him, kept him for 3 days, whereupon he was told the charges had been dropped. When third generation Mr. Reitz asked what charges, no answer was given. And we wonder why people are upset and scared. Why you might think this is about public safety, and I completely respect that point of view. Unfortunately, it is way past that. What you're doing is breaking trust. And I say you, I wish the sheriff were here. I wish the county executive was here, because I understand that's where the power is here. Item, teenage girl apprehended. As she screams, "I'm not resisting," an officer throws her to the ground, knee in her back, zip ties her hands. She's unarmed. Teenage girl. Here in Salisbury, Maryland, a Caucasian woman, I say that purposely, in her 70s, parks outside the local DH offices and sits. And apparently official vehicle pulls up with tinted windows, window drops down, a masked man with a hat and sunglasses rolls the window down and starts staring at her. What's going on here? This is the United States of America. It's not a police state. Terror and intimidation, that's what it's about. And I'm sorry, but it is past, unfortunately, and I don't blame anybody here for that, it is past the point of having a reasonable conversation. You know, the emotion of my voice, obviously I'm past it, okay? And I apologize about that, but that's the way it is. Okay, so a law enforcement agent in the United States of America terrorizes a citizen who looks pretty much like me, a Caucasian in his 70s, okay? So am I the next, because I'm up here, am I the next person? All right? Self-deportation is a stated goal, but is terrorizing part of our own citizenry an okay byproduct? I personally know 4, I know these people, legal immigrants, 3 of them business owners, who have either already left the country or are leaving. They are taking their good citizenship elsewhere because they believe they are not welcome here. Do we want this? This is like stabbing our own selves in the back. It's crazy. Remember, I'm talking about legal immigrants and U.S. citizens. Time's up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ismail Belus, and I am a resident of this community. So I'm here tonight just to let you know that immigrants, even legal and illegal immigrants, we are not criminals. And I believe that the Wicomico community is not that big if law enforcement wants to get rid of criminals that they need to bring ICE over to do that with them. And I wrote a little story this evening just to share with you guys, as you known before, but I want to state that tonight again. Immigrants are the heartbeat of our communities. They come here with courage, hope, and dreams, not to take, but to build. We work long hours, care for our families, and contribute, paying high taxes in the community. So right now, we all know that, and we've seen on the news and everywhere, that ICE brings fear and breaks family apart. Even me as a U.S. citizen, if ICE comes around, I will be on fear. Not only for myself, but for my family and other immigrants in the community. So please, I hope you take that at heart and understand our struggles right now. And we are on a lot of stress. And I've been on a lot of stress since I've heard about this news. So I hope that you vote no for 287G, because we really don't want, we can't afford having ICE around here right now. Thank you.
Hi, Paula DeRosa, citizen of Wicomico County, and I just want to say that 287G encourages racial profiling and erodes civil rights. And although our county is only considering the WSO model of 287G, our county and our LE will be wed to ICE Border Patrol in terms of their reputation. Any injuries, and there have been many requiring EMS, I don't know if you know that or not, may be blamed on our LE at the detention center. Do we have insurance to cover that? We are also creating unnecessary fear when we partner with ICE Border Patrol. And for what? All I hear is we need this to keep our community safe. Why all of a sudden is it not safe? Why wasn't it, or isn't, our local LE keeping us safe? Our sheriff travels out of our area to Texas, Arizona, and other border states to teach and speak on how to catch an immigrant. Maybe he needs to train our local LE so that we don't have to partner with ICE. That's just a suggestion. Say what you will, but partnering with ICE at this time looks like racism. Thank you.
James Yamakawa, Citizen District 2. Better people than I will tell you why working with ICE in any capacity is a bad decision. They'll have the numbers, the facts, and the stories. But in the end, what matters to me, is it right or is it wrong? Does it speak to that which binds us together or to that which rips us apart? Is it of God or of that which opposes God? I don't care if the language of 287G says it's only about people accused of a crime, because Lord knows that throughout American history, the definition of who is or isn't a criminal conveniently expands to fit the needs of those in power. America was founded on this. From our enslavement of the kidnapped Africans who built this country, to the genocide of indigenous peoples whose land we stole, from the lynching of black men, the destruction of black neighborhoods, to the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. From the exploitation of migrant workers to the profit-driven motives of the prison industrial complex. None of this is new, because oppression in any form isn't new. But that doesn't mean you get to act like it's not your responsibility. Just like it doesn't mean we get to act like it's not our fight. If you think this is being too dramatic and just artifacts of history, ask yourselves, 5, 10 years from now, what were you willing to tolerate? You are living history right now. I keep coming back to the words of German Lutheran theologian Martin Niemöller, who wrote of his shame over what he should have said and done in the face of far-right extremism and the rise of fascism. His words convey the idea that if people ignore oppression because it doesn't affect them personally, the problem will grow and eventually impact everyone, leaving no one to speak up for the last one targeted. I would like to offer them to you, albeit updated for today. First, they came for the immigrants, and we said no, not this time, not ever again. We are calling on you to vote tonight and vote no. Make your voice heard now and sleep better at night knowing that you were not silent.
Good evening. Name is Kenton Raymond. So I'm gonna keep this a bit simple today. Again, my name is Kenton Raymond, and I stand tonight with one simple request: that you vote no on the 287G and stand with the people that put you guys in office. Every immigrant who wants to become a U.S. citizen studies and learns these simple words, and I'm sure that you should know these words as well. Liberty, or life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They learn that America is no one is above the law, that freedom of speech and assembly are basic right that allows people to stand before their government and demand justice. That is exactly what we are here tonight to doing. We are living those values, the same value that this country taught us to believe in. But how can we recite liberty, justice for all, while we supporting a program that takes liberty from some and justice from others? How can we claim to stand for freedom while creating fear in our neighborhoods? This is not just a vote on policy, but it's a test of principle. When you vote no on 287G, you're voting for liberty, you're voting for justice, and you're voting for all the immigrants in all Wicomico County. Show Wicomico County that America's promise of liberty and justice is not just word, but it's the living value that includes every one of us. I came here to the country because I believe in that there is justice, there is freedom. Those that come here, they are fleeing the countries because they're looking for freedom, justice for all. And this is what we are looking for. This 287G agreement, again, we can't stop ICE from doing what they're doing. But partnering with them, we can stop that. We can say no to that 287G. Let them handle, let the Justice Department, DHS, do their job. Let the sheriff do his job or their job here locally. And I want you to do your job by voting no to 287G. It's gonna do no good for us. Now, yes, I know that we said it's just a WSO model, that it's those that's already in jail, but fear with ICE, partnership with ICE, when you sign a contract, again, as I said it before, you're agreeing that I'll give you the key to my house. ICE does not have a good track record. What difference is Wicomico County do you think they're going to make? So I urge you, I ask you, please vote no on 287G. Don't just let it be on the executive. You have the right to make a vote. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Yes? Okay. My name is Michelle. I am a resident here of Wicomico County, and I just wanted to say a few words to you all that I am Mexican American, and everything that has been happening with our Latino community, I urge you to put yourself in our shoes. Many of you will not know what it feels like to be racially profiled by DHS, ICE, or even bounty hunters that we know that are here in our local area. And they don't say who they are. They just pull up in cars, and I've witnessed it, but I'm afraid to even, you can't interfere with that because they have guns and they will investigate you. But I just came up to tell everyone that please put yourself in our shoes. You won't know what it feels like until something like this happens close to you, a family member, a friend. Please vote no to 287G, and please make a difference in our community, because not everyone that resides here in Wicomico County is documented, but please, they are also your residents, and think about them as well. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Trish Melvin from Wicomico County, and I have a simple ask, and that is to keep ICE separate from our local law enforcement. Let ICE do their job, which they're going to do anyway for the near future, and let law enforcement, our local law enforcement, do theirs. One reason for this is I'm told that the ICE office in Salisbury is fully staffed. I'm also told that our local law enforcement is not fully staffed, nor are corrections. This alone should be adequate reason, but I continue. The ICE agency itself is in the midst of a lot of changes. So far in 2025, they've revised their official 287G form twice, once in February and once in June. Last week, a major reorganization was announced within ICE. But closer to home, last week, the Baltimore ICE field office was forced to disclose the following. Through a lawsuit, the government agency had to admit in the court record that the Baltimore holding facility does not have a food vendor to provide 3 meals a day or any on-site medical staff at the facility that was initially only supposed to hold detainees for about 12 hours. But since January, it's become much more likely that detainees are held for as long as a week in the Baltimore hold room. This is reported by the Associated Press, October 30th, 2025, last week. Given the documented conditions in Baltimore of lack of food and medical staff, it makes sense that they would want to delegate some of that to us. In closing, we're talking about our neighbors who've been working in healthcare, agriculture, hospitality, and construction and paying taxes accordingly until now. I hear county officials say, but we're not taking people off the street. Given everything you've heard tonight from me and everybody else, that is a very low bar. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Maria Summer. I'm a Wicomico County resident. Just recently moved here about 4 months ago. And I really want to talk to the council as human beings. I'm the daughter of a public servant. My father worked for elected officials on the local, state, and federal level but before the time I started preschool until after I graduated from college. And I know firsthand the sacrifices that each of you makes on a regular basis in service to your constituents. I want to say a sincere thank you for that. Maybe more so, I would like to thank your spouses, your partners, and your children for the sacrifices that they make. Because I know they do. They really have to do that too. Please make sure to communicate my gratitude to them as well. I'm urging you to take a public stance as a vote on 287G. You've heard so much, I don't need to tell you why or how you should vote. But make your stand on the issue known publicly. Do it for your kids. We had one rule in our house when I was a kid growing up: do the right thing. And that covered everything. That was it. It's your job to do the right thing. And if you're not willing to do that, you're not fulfilling your responsibilities as a public servant. So make your families proud, take a stand, and do the right thing.
Hello. My name's Allison Grace. I'm a Wicomico County resident. I'm here to urge the council to reject any 287G agreement. So many decent, hardworking, brave Wicomico residents have made solid cases over and over in this room and beyond for why any 287G agreement would be wrong for our county, or any county for that matter. They've given straightforward examples of how it would instill more, not less, fear and danger within our communities, target those with minor offenses or no criminal convictions at all, lead to racial profiling and inhumane treatment of people based on their skin color, language, or accent, break trust between immigrants and local law enforcement, and tear apart families, neighborhoods, and our local economy. Any of these valid arguments alone should be enough to shut this agreement down on principle when viewed through an unbiased human lens. Moreover, the barriers that have made the process of becoming a legalized citizen near impossible are not being met with understanding and compassion, but instead with hateful criminalization. I ask that if you can't see the unprecedented level of inhumanity and injustice in subsidizing ISIS persecution and deportation of often completely innocent people, that you recognize that it will simply not benefit you or this county. The county may instead end up paying dearly and directly for it. Wicomico should not waste precious tax dollars on subsidizing federal ICE efforts when there are endless needs in our schools, roads, shorelines, and in tackling serious local crime. Money will be wasted on transportation, overtime, and lawsuits instead of violent crime, addiction, and mental health programs. In Frederick, the sheriff had settled 2 racial profiling and prolonged detention lawsuits, which cost taxpayers over $500,000. And once ICE steps in, 287G gives away local control over law enforcement to the federal government, as mentioned earlier. Instead of making decisions on case-by-case basis for what's best for their residents, what ICE says goes. The contract with ICE is with the county, and jail staff who could be held legally liable with the county, and the jail staff who could be held legally liable for violations. For these reasons and more, it seems evident that it's the council's responsibility to represent the residents who have spoken up thus far and the thousands likely to be impacted, and take an official vote, not just a consensus. I implore you to vote no on 287G agreements. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Roosevelt Toussaint. I am the Executive Director of the Haitian Development Center of Delmarva. I've heard so much confusion about 287G. I wanted to get to the bottom of it because I was told that the executive is behind it, the county council is behind it, the sheriff is behind it. I said, okay, let me find out what is going on. So a few of us, we met with the executive. The executive told us the only way she will sign is for you all to vote for it. If you vote for it, then she will have no other choice but to sign it. And they told me that I need to get with the sheriff. I made several attempts to meet with the sheriff. I left messages after messages, never returned my call. So now I want to meet with you all guys. I met with 2 of you. I'm not going to say who you were, but I want you to hear me. I would like for you to vote no for 287. It's not good for Wicomico County. If you allow ICE to get its foot into this county, you're going to allow their whole self to get into our county. What they're going to cause is chaos. What they're going to cause is confusion. What they're going to cause is fear. So I'm begging you, do not vote for 287G. I want you to vote no for it, and thank you very much.
Hello, my name is John Groud, and I'm a member, citizen of the county. I don't have some of the dramatic stories that we've heard here tonight. My most experience with 287G was this week when a friend told me that, yeah, watch out for the bounty hunters. And all I could think of is somebody who is looking over people's shoulders that you don't know who it is, ready to turn you in. But I'd rather talk about what you are here tonight. You're the legislative part of our county, of our government, local government, and the Founding Fathers, as we all know and from Civics 101, divided up the government 3 ways so that no one would have all the power, so that it would be balanced back and forth. And that works sometimes better than other times. But you have the power right now as a legislative body of our county to say what you think should be done in this instance where citizens are being harassed. The scary part is, and people talk about it, but we see the pictures of somebody wearing a face mask or a mask with a black suit jumping out of a truck or a van with clouded windows, grabbing somebody from the street with no identification, giving them, and pulling them into the van. And the family learns sometime later what happens. Think if that was one of us or our family. We know about it at the time of the Nazis. I watched a film this past week on the rise of Mussolini, and it was some very similar things happening. I don't want to over dramatize it, but it's pretty dramatic if you're somebody who you are liable just because of the color of your skin or your accent, walks down the street, has somebody jump out of a van with a mask, a black suit, pull you into the van, and then drive away. Just think of that if that was your family or it was you. You have, as one of the branches of government, the power to say you have some hesitations on this or you have some really great concerns. And I'd like, with the others, to ask you to vote against this. Thank you.
Good evening, Debbie Kraus from Bivalve, where the speed limit is 30, but everybody goes 60.
That's about right.
I'm here to speak about the 287G. It has far-reaching consequences. It damages trust between local law enforcement and immigrant communities, making people afraid to report crimes or seek help. It can lead to family separation over small infractions. It opens the door to racial profiling, which everybody is saying tonight, discrimination, and mistakes that impact both undocumented and lawfully present immigrants. These actions do not make our county safer, they make it more divided, anxious, and less just. We've already seen how fragile our community becomes when immigration protections are taken away. In September, when temporary protected status, TPS, was retracted, many of our neighbors immediately lost their legal standing and were reclassified as undocumented. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA, anyone who conceals, shields, or harbors someone without legal status is technically breaking federal law. How many people would that be? That would be a lot of our citizens. That means families who simply live together, parents and children, even natural-born citizens living with a loved one who had TPS are now at risk. This policy shift didn't just target individuals. It criminalized entire households. Thank you.
Lana Foley, City County resident. We are all living this life for the very first time. We're all learning as we go, making mistakes, growing, finding our way. We shouldn't be so quick to judge others for their missteps instead of reaching out to help them. We judge people who have not yet become legal citizens as if they've failed some moral test, when in truth, we've created a system with a difficult and expensive path. Immigration status is a civil offense, not a criminal one. Now, instead of giving our immigrant population an opportunity to correct what we've now labeled as a crime, we are choosing to rip them off the street in violent ways or create a candy store approach in our jail systems, like our sheriff is trying to do. We live in a country that has more than enough to provide for us all. The hate and anger toward those who have less than truly says a lot about who we currently are as Americans. Our lack of compassion, our desire to hoard more than we truly need, the gatekeeping of resources to make us think we don't have enough, than it really does about those seeking a better life. If you follow Jesus, how can you look at our neighbors and deny them grace, dignity, and hope? James mentioned a poem that I also felt was important to remind people of. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Today, that poem continues. First, they came for the LGBTQ+ community, and I did not speak out. Then they came for the immigrants, and I did not speak out. Then they came for the sick, and I did not speak out. Then they came for the poor, and I did not speak out. Are you so perfect that you don't think they will come for you? If you're not willing to fight for them, then understand this. Silence is not neutrality. When you look away, you are telling your neighbors that you support these ways. You've become the oppressor too. We must fight for our neighbors, for every person whose voice is silenced and whose worth is questioned. Our county executive said that if you choose to vote, and if you vote no, then she will not sign this agreement. Please stop this madness. Vote on this and vote no.
Rodney Brown, Salisbury, Maryland, veteran, disabled veteran. I'm going to be the bad guy in the house. The only thing I ask you to do is follow the law. I cannot stand the way people are talking about, one, Sheriff Lewis. I guarantee you half these people in this room have probably called 911, and Sheriff Lewis and his people have showed up. You guys have degraded him. You beat him up. You're beating up the county executive. And the only thing to do is follow the law. Look, I have a daughter that is Mexican. I did time in Fort Bliss, Texas for 6 years. And I understand, right? But if you don't follow the law the way that it's written, then what's going to happen is that there's going to be more chaos. The reason why ICE officers wear a mask is because of the demonization that's happened in this room tonight. You can laugh. You can do what you want to do, right? But these guys, you know what? Their family is being doxxed. Temporary protected status was revoked September 2nd. Supreme Court said they got to go. That's it. Follow the law. I'm sorry. I mean, I get all this comfort stuff, and I urge you to do this, that, and the third. I get it. No, it's not privilege.
Excuse me.
It's not privilege.
If I could, please, nobody was interrupted tonight at
I'm going
all.
to tell you what privilege is.
Thank you.
I met a guy today, okay, since you were talking about privilege. I met a guy today, his name's Curtis. Okay, he's a homeless man. He's a veteran that's pushing a cart down, cleaning up sidewalks downtown by the college. There was 3 black people that walked by him, and he's a black man. Guess who got out and helped him? 3 white men. I gave him $60. So are you talking about racial profiling? You're talking about discrimination and this, that? No. It's illegal to have illegal immigrants here. And for you guys to beat up on Sheriff Lewis, 40 years of service, and half of you guys have called him. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves.
White South Africans.
You're ashamed. You should be ashamed of yourself.
White South Africans. Cut out.
Come in the room and talk. It's shameful, pitiful. Every day I want you to be ashamed of yourselves. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
I don't want to repeat all that's been said. I had an idea what I was going to say. I looked up about ICE agents. They're getting paid $50,000 a year. They're recruiting them. You don't know what their background is. They're making a lot more money than a lot of other people. And do you know what cops got to go through to get their job? Let the cops do their work. The ICE agents, they're getting $50,000 a year. You don't know their background, you know what they look like. But if I was standing on the sidewalk and I was at the protest, and then somebody came and grabbed a 16-year-old or a 60-year-old woman, well, I'm almost 78, but I mean, they grab somebody, a little lady, and throw her on the ground like on TV. On the news today, they grabbed a lady out, a doctor, out of the car. They ran into her car and then dragged her out. And these people are going to be proved innocent. Now, her car was dented and beat up. They broke the windshield. And they've taken women out of the car with kids in the car. And you don't know who they are. So what are you going to do? I would be afraid as an individual, but they're attacking little people with full battle gear, gas masks, and all that. Why? They don't need to be. That's like the brown shirts that the Nazis did. And I didn't think I'd get that deep into politics, but I wouldn't trust any ICE agent unless, like, I want them to see their faces. I want them to, get some kind of requirements for the job rather than just having the heartlessness of, like beating up people that can't defend themselves. And if, when I got drafted, I took an oath to defend the Constitution, and supposedly the ICE agents had to do the same thing, but there's no consequences with them. And obviously the Constitution doesn't mean a thing to them. So at any rate, that's my 2 cents worth.
Hello, my name is Deborah Fuentes. I'm a Wicomico
citizen. I've been here 16, 17 years. I don't agree with the 287G. I personally had supposedly ICE agents or bounty hunters, I don't know what they were, but they approached my daughter, who is also a U.S.-born citizen, who looks Hispanic, which she is, and they were trying to tell me that I could not be nowhere near my daughter because they wanted to determine whether she was a U.S. citizen or not. And all these people that they are taking, they are not taking criminals. There's U.S. citizen criminals. They're not worried about them. Why are they worrying about the Hispanic culture, that they're criminals? They're not criminals. Everybody that they're catching is people going in work vans, going to work. They're paying taxes just like everybody else. It's not right, and I suggest you guys, just my personal opinion, you guys should vote no for it.
John.
Good evening, council members. Good evening, everyone. Dr. Gianfranti Philogene, Wicomico County resident. I'm here tonight to highlight a scenario about 287G. 287G, it's clear it's against immigrants, just immigrants, not criminal immigrants. There is no doubt about it. If we want to add something to that, it's just black and brown immigrants. But those black and brown immigrants, it's them I always see in the fields. I work with farm workers at CATA, Farm Workers Support Committee. I visit more than 20 labor camps just in Maryland every week. I never see a white American working in the fields. Let's say that with 287G, the new administration said, well, we're gonna get rid of all those immigrants here because it's what I can see. Have you really thought about the economy on that one? Well, no, we've already thought about it. We're gonna use H2A and H2B workers, maybe they can say. That's smart, but what if for any reason H2A or H2B workers cannot come here next year? Let's say, for instance, there is a war. Besides, with the current geopolitical situation, that's not impossible. And the workers cannot come. So farmers, what will happen to your farms? Chicken plants, what will happen to your production? Hotels and restaurants, healthcare, schools and universities, and so on. What will happen to the economy? Immigrants play a vital role in the U.S. economy, contributing to labor force growth, innovation, and fiscal health. Immigrants expand the labor force, especially in agriculture, constructions, and hospitality. They start businesses at higher rates and contribute to over 30% of patents. Immigrants pay more in federal taxes than they receive in services. Tighter immigration enforcement lead to labor shortage and slower job growth. Reduced immigration tightens labor markets, raising costs and slowing productivity. Local economies may suffer, not just may suffer, will suffer due to reduced access to foreign labor. So all those that I'm saying here, all those are facts. The Congressional Budget Office, CBO, estimates increased immigration could boost GDP by $8.9 trillion and reduce the federal deficit by $897 billion over the next decade. So all those are facts. And the source, CBO, TD Economics, University of Michigan, U.S. Census Bureau. So 287G will cause more harm than good. It's the reason why I urge the council members to do a vote and reject 287G. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, that concludes public comments. Council comments.
Mayor.
Shaney.
This reminds me
of the civil rights movement, which I have happened to participate in many years ago in the 60s. And I compliment you for your outside the government building. I would have been there, but I can't stand long. I think that racism is alive and well. And when I hear the words like terror, fear, traumatization, I'm traumatized. I'm very traumatized. That's why I stopped looking at TV. And I think we said the Pledge of Allegiance today, and we said justice for all. But I think they're just words. And we need to look at the administration in Washington, D.C. That's the start of it all. When you see someone tearing down the White House historical building for a ballroom, when you see giving another country $40 billion and we have people in this country starving, then the other politicians fall in suit with that same mentality. I think that I have no problem with saying if we did vote on this, I would not vote for 287G. I have no problem with that because I think it's unfair. I think about all of us who have children and grandchildren, and I wonder if we want to see our children and grandchildren separated from their families who may never see their families again. Because that reminds me of the children they put in cages, the babies. Where are they? Where are they at? We don't hear about them. Who's taking care of them? And I think it's terrible what they're doing to people. And as I said before in the last meeting, I saw a Hispanic couple and their 2 children, and I was scared because I didn't know if somebody was going to come up and grab the people and take their children. You don't know what's going to happen to them. I haven't witnessed anything, and I don't want to witness it because it would upset me. But I think that we as a council, we should take a stand for this. But I don't think if you're a human being, you wouldn't want to see your family treated this way. I think that you talk about bounty hunters. That's the first time I heard that. It scared me half to death. Bounty hunters, and I also believe you have paid mercenaries. You know, you see people go into different countries and fight wars and everything. We may have them. We don't know who they are. Like the elder gentleman said, we don't know who the people are that's arresting these people. They have no feelings. They have no shame. They're mean, cruel. When you take children and throw older people and shoot a preacher with some kind of gun, and you just don't have no moral factors. And I believe that's the kind of people they want. And it's just sad that our country has come this low. Because what it is, it's a low, very low. You can't get no lower than treating people terrible this day and time. So I hear your cry, your pleads, and I agree with everyone what they said tonight. And I don't know what to say about it except that I do not support 287G.
Joe? Okay. Well, thanks for everybody for coming in. I'm going to talk about the liquor license laws that we've been discussing for the past 3 years. I typed something out, plus I made some notes, so it's kind of long, so I hope everybody bears with me. I don't type real well, and I'm terrible at giving speeches, so between the two, I want to thank all the folks that contacted me after my comments to the Board of License Commissioners at our council meeting in September. They agreed that the board's duties are to enforce the law and not lobby to change them at the taxpayer's expense. I understand they're coming back in tonight, so we'll have to go through that again. This is 3 years now that the council has had to deal with alcohol laws, even though our county has lots more pressing issues to deal with. County executive made it very clear when elected that she wanted to privatize the liquor stores. Her statement at the meeting of the Greater Salisbury Committee just after the election, made that very clear. So I've had no one from any of our small towns, neighborhoods, municipalities, villages, contact me and say, let's change the law so we can have a liquor store nearby. What is on the table for tonight's work session is to disconnect the restaurant requirement from the 3 private stores that are presently allowed to sell liquor. That, ladies and gentlemen, is just the next step toward more liquor stores in Wicomico County. As Delegate Carl Anderton stated, we opened the door, now let's walk on, as former Delegate Carl Anderton stated, we've opened the door, now let's walk on through it. So let's talk about money. If a liquor store were privatized, the county would lose hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that currently goes into our budget. This comes from our government-run liquor stores. So lost revenue for real problems facing our county. Would more liquor stores mean more people drinking and driving? Let's talk about that. Wicomico County spends millions of dollars a year on public safety. Millions of dollars. In 2023, now these numbers are going to shock you like they shocked me. In 2023, our state's attorney's office prosecuted 525 DUI cases in Wicomico County. That's 1.4 DUI cases per day. Of those, there was a conviction rate of 87%. And I want to say thank you to the state's attorney's office for the good work they do. The cost of this in the state's attorney's office is tens of thousands of dollars a year. Then add the cost of law enforcement, our court system, and if there is incarceration, it's even more expensive. So let's talk about the human cost. I've never been affected or hurt by a drunk driver or lost a loved one because of drunk driving. Never been in an accident because of a drunk driver. But Councilman Merritt's comments in our September meeting caused me to really think about people that have been impacted by drinking and driving. One of my National Guard buddies from the 70s was also a Maryland State Trooper. In 1992, he was responding to a traffic accident in Powellville, and at the intersection of Mount Herman Road and Airport Road, a drunk driver hit him head on. There's a state trooper riding down the road with his lights on, flashing lights on. The car was on fire and he was unconscious. Thankfully, an alert neighbor heard the collision, ran to the scene, and pulled him out. My friend spent months in rehab and probably more time than the drunk driver served in jail. Not only physical injuries, but my friend's career as a trooper were ended. Laura has got a couple pictures. If you'll put up picture number 1, I'd appreciate it. This happened just a few weeks ago. This picture is a pickup truck that belongs to one of our county's first responders. This gentleman he'd been bowling with his wife and family when a drunk driver crossed over into his lane. Trying to evade getting head on, causing their pickup to flip. The driver has been charged with a DUI. You can see the next picture. Okay, see that Christmas tree behind those 3 people? That picture was taken in 2022. They were celebrating Christmas. They didn't get to celebrate Christmas in 2023. I'm wrong, in 2024. They were killed by a drunk driver on Route 13 bypass near Fruitland. All 3 of them. Think about that. 3 people driving down the road, innocent as can be, a drunk driver, because he didn't have enough sense to ride in the right lane. So let me read what I wrote down. This picture is of Dean Alexander Dennison, 20, Sierra Rain Merchant, 19, and Grayson Dennison, age 1. Now, the reason I kind of got on this rant tonight is I talked to one of the first responders that went to this accident. He said it was the worst thing he'd ever seen, worst thing he'd ever responded to. He said, Joe, I've responded to a lot of accidents. Is relaxing our liquor laws worth all this? Now, anyone who wants to relax our liquor laws in Wicomico County should really look at this picture and think, is this worth it? Okay, I've already said part of what I read. 3 young lives snuffed out because someone was so drunk they didn't have to know which way to drive on a well-marked highway. This did not have to happen. And this council's action will not, on this issue, will not make drunken driving issues go away. But it could make it easier. It could make it easier to lose another life or lives. Just leaving things as it is. It will save one life, or maybe it'll save a family like this. Sorry, I've got that kind of messed up in my typing, but anyway, I think you all get what I'm trying to say. I will be forwarding this picture, these pictures, to everyone that's been pushing for a change to relax our liquor laws. The county executive, Mike Dunn from the Greater Salisbury Committee, Carl Anderton, and our Annapolis delegation, and especially our Liquor Control Board. I have to wonder if lobbying for special interest are worth the cost. Can those pushing for more liquor stores look at this family picture and truly believe we need more liquor stores in Wicomico County? Now, this meeting we did, 4 members of the council voted to allow drinking at 7 o'clock in the morning on golf courses instead of 10. It was a 4-3 vote. I understand there's only 2 18-hole golf courses in Wicomico County. They didn't come lobbying for it. Nobody from either one of those golf courses sat at that table and asked us to do this. The Liquor Control Board, which is charged with issuing licenses and enforcing the law, is the ones that sat at the table. We've been asked to disconnect this restaurant license, which is just the next step toward having more liquor stores in Wicomico County. Nobody from either one of those restaurants is sat at that table. The Liquor Control Board, which is charged with enforcing the law and issuing license, is the ones that's lobbying for it. They should not be doing that. Tonight, I'll ask the council when we have our work session to reverse the decisions that we've made on that, and I hope we get some votes to do it. Thank you.
No public comments, or any of the council comments. Jeff?
On a lighter note, how many people like the getting dark at 5 o'clock? Got one person in the back, that figures. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Our meetings is the public's opportunity to share their concerns and opinions and thoughts. Whether we agree with them or don't agree with them, it doesn't matter. We enjoy and appreciate everybody coming out. With respect to 287G, President Cannon and myself met with Reverend Toussaint and members of the Haitian community. Councilman Ennis and myself met with Stephanie Wolf and another member of the Maryland Public Defender's Office. I've met with people from ICE. We've met with people from the Sheriff's Office. We're trying to get information and perspectives from all angles. Doesn't matter what our personal opinions are or how we would vote up or down. Does this make sense? We're trying to get all of the credible information, not the sensational videos that we see on social media and in the news. So I think, at least for me, I've got all the information I need. With regards to the liquor bills, I spent 22 years in the towing business in the 80s and 90s. I've peeled more cars off of telephone poles and trees and dealt with grieving parents and accident scenes than I have pictures that would make Joe's pictures look like a kindergarten photo. I will not support any liquor bills. I didn't support it at the last meeting. I won't support them in the future. In 2 years and 11 months of being on this council, I have not had one person come to me and say, please put a liquor store near my house because I'm having difficulty getting my liquor. So I think we are well positioned to serve liquor to our county residents, and I think we have way more important things to deal with than additional liquor stores and drinking on a golf course at 7 a.m. That's all I got. Thank you.
I did, of course, thank you all for coming out, and for those who are tuning in, I did want to acknowledge that it was brought up that we, there needs to be establishment of Human Rights Advisory Committee. The question of whether or not that starts with the county executive's office or us, one way or another, I think we do need to round back on that and make sure that's expedited, and I appreciate folks for bringing that up. As far as 287G, that issue, you all may not know, but every time anyone for the last 7 years that I've been here has come up to speak, I write your name down and then a summary of your comments. And I've got, a couple books worth of comments here, but just in tonight's comments, here's a couple just from the 287. One person says 287G is not needed. The federal government should be paying us, not the other way around. One person says ICE needs to clean up its own affairs. Others say that there's no accountability to ICE. Others say that this is racial profiling. Some people view that the ICE agreement is strictly political. Another person said the ICE agreement is just simply fear and terror, and that's the purpose. Others say that immigration is the heartbeat of our community, and that's what's important. Other comments I've noted here, partnering with ICE looks like racism, one person says. And then, I think there's numerous other great comments in here, and including, about this potentially bringing chaos and confusion and fear, and that the legislative body has the power to act on it now. I agree that I've said that before. You all know how I feel about this. ICE's credibility is quite awful. The federal government's credibility is quite awful. It can't even figure out how to turn its own lights on. I don't think we should be partnering any further with the federal government when it hasn't given its own credibility. Another individual made the statement that, we should just follow the law. Well, immigration, especially out of many issues, but this issue especially, is extraordinarily messy. What is the law? What is the law from right now? There's a current way you can give your hundreds of $1,000s or whatever it is, and you can buy your way into being a citizen. Right now, that is the current law. There has been the law where if you've been from a particular country, one that, say Cuba, like my brother-in-law's family, or, you name the other country, folks that have had a lot of war-torn areas, we've allowed them into the country. Then we as the United States have pulled out the carpet that was underneath of them and said, good luck, find your way back. I'm sorry you established a whole entire family and a life here and built your business here. Find your way back. That is completely unfair. So, in closing on this, obviously, I do think the council should vote on it. I do think we should vote no. And this all stems from the dysfunction of the federal government. And I think all of us here need to start turning back to the federal government and saying, what are they doing for us? Because right now, what I'm seeing is just pure dysfunction across the board. And I think it's time for us who have interacted with the federal government to push back and say, we are no longer having that. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever it is, the systems haven't been working for us, and that needs to change. So, thank you all.
Shifting gears to something a lot more mundane, but regarding the renewable natural gas agreement with WAGA that we talked about this evening. And it is very new technology, and it's a pretty big deal for the county. So naturally, there were a lot of questions and ones that we wanted to pursue as far as due diligence goes. And I contributed quite a few of the questions, but it wasn't necessarily to get into the due diligence side, but to make sure that we could see that Mr. Corey and his group had done their job, which I think he's demonstrated very well that they've got a good grip on where we are with that process. So I just want to make a comment that I do support it. And I think he's done a good job, if not answering all the questions, almost every single one of them. So when we come back to that issue, I'll be in favor of it. That's all.
The presidential comments, I also would like to say I really appreciate the fact that so many people have come out here, and I really want to say thank you for doing that. It is obviously a very polarizing, and as Mr. Robeson said, it's a very emotional issue. And it is hard to speak about it without being emotional, but I have to say everyone here tonight, everyone was very respectful, and everyone was very well prepared, so we really do appreciate that from our perspective. We'll keep your comments at heart when we deliberate this later in the work session. Mr. Toussaint, you had made a comment, the executive, and I think someone else had made the same comment, that the executive stated that this was the county council's decision. That's not what the executive said maybe a couple of months prior. And you know, I think anyone in this room, I think, is smart enough to know when someone is passing the buck. So, and I know you are as well, Mr. Toussaint. But I think the executive at times is very selective as when she wants to certainly choose to give this council any authority over her department, without a doubt. I think that's half our battles. But I would have to say also, Mr. Grout, you had mentioned the fact that we have the authority and you'd like to see the vote. I have no problem with the council taking that position. But we're not sure, and I'm not sure personally from what I've read and all the documents that I've read as to whether this is the role that the county council is required or obligated to take a position on. I mean, I know that. It's from the documents that I've read, and it's also from advice from our legal counsel in determining whether or not that's our role. But I think that's the purpose for this second work session that we're having tonight. I would like it to be our final work session tonight. But that's what we're doing, and hopefully we will come to some final resolution. But again, I appreciate everybody's input, so respectfully. Entertain a motion from council to adjourn from legislative session.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adjourn. Legislative session is concluded. The first business on the agenda is redistricting the councilmanic districts. Mr. Kevin Karpinski has been waiting very patiently for us.
Can we have like a 5-minute recess so we can get this connected?
Okay, all right, we will take a 5-minute recess just to set things up here.